Time to look at two complete shit shows.
Oh, you're crazy.
I mean, time to look at two movies where the villain takes center stage, and the hero associated with that villain is strangely completely absent. It's Catwoman versus Venom. Catwoman is traditionally named Catwoman because she's a cat burglar, not because she has cat powers. But that's what this movie goes for, and that can be fine. I am a firm believer that anything can be done if done right. Just some things are tougher than others. Origin-wise, this movie has a lot of similarities to Catwoman's origin in Batman Returns. Selina Kyle, or Patience Phillips, why did they bother to rename her in this movie anyway? Is an awkward woman who is unappreciated at work, played by Halle Berry.
I specifically heard you say that...
I know what I said.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood you.
Clearly.
When she discovers the evil secret her company has, she is killed. But then cats come by and revive her. In Batman Returns, it's more ambiguous whether or not the cats had any direct impact on her recovery. It's possible the awning she fell through slowed her down just enough so that the impact on the ground proved non-fatal. But the experience of the events left her psychologically broken, meaning she has to put herself back together, and the form she puts herself back together as is Catwoman. Batman Returns is not a good movie, but Catwoman was by far the best part of the whole thing.
Meow.
Here, she is far less interesting. The cats definitely revive her here because she attempted to save a cat by stepping onto the ledge and onto the back of an AC window unit, which is some insanely stupid shit. She even steps on the outer edge of the unit rather than as close to the window as possible. Don't get me wrong, there is no safe way to do this. There's just stupid and really batshit stupid, and she goes for batshit. Anyways, because of this, her dead body gets some CGI cat breath, which if you know what cat breath smells like, you know that was a real treat.
What an incredible smell you've discovered!
And because of that, she gets cat powers, which equates to being able to turn CGI and hop around everywhere in that form. Catwoman being a villain could perhaps deal with some moral issues, but that aspect of her is largely ignored, and instead she goes after her killers in an apparent desire for revenge, except it's never clear what her plan is to do with her killers when she finds them. Does she want to kill them? Have them arrested? Who knows? I think it's safe to assume the writers of the movie didn't. The movie even seems to end on a mantra that I assume is supposed to be female empowerment.
You see, sometimes I'm good. Oh, I'm very good. But sometimes I'm bad. But only as bad as I want to be. To live a life untamed and unafraid is the gift that I've been given.
I'm all for that, but when part of the mantra is, I'll be as bad as I want to be, and when it's a character who's typically a villain, a line should be drawn. Something simple, like,
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
Catwoman has no clear motives or goals. She just seems to be going from one event to the next. On the other side, we have Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock, a reporter for the Eddie Brock Report. He actually seems to be a somewhat solid journalist, unlike the comic book. His network gives him a big opportunity to interview the very successful Carlton Drake.
There isn't a better investigative reporter working today, but no one is above the network. So do me a favor, Eddie, don't start your shit again.
Before the interview, his girlfriend, Ann Wang, gets an email that Eddie sneaks into and sees that Drake is being sued for 3 unexplained deaths. Eddie uses the opportunity to ask Drake about the deaths. Drake does not take kindly to this and kicks Eddie out and makes sure he is fired. Ann ends up fired as well.
You used me.
And is upset that this happened and blames Eddie for this and dumps him. I get why she's pissed. Yeah, I also get why Eddie did what he did. He shouldn't go into his girlfriend's email, but he should use his position to make Drake pay for the deaths, rather than just letting him probably bury them in court. This is an interesting situation that the movie drops with a 6 months later card, and we see Eddie down on his luck looking for a job. This is all to try to set him up to be the loser like he is in the comic books. But here, we're supposed to have more sympathy for him, except he's not very likable, so I don't really care. We see him hide when the story likes is robbed, which is supposed to mirror the scene at the end when Venom eats the thief. Eddie is supposed to have an arc here, but really doesn't. He's whatever the script needs him to be at any one time. Both these characters are pretty much shit. I will end up giving the point to Marvel, since essentially Catwoman had the same origin as she does in Batman Returns, except here it's so much worse.
I know everything, Eddie.
You do?
Everything about you.
How?
I am inside your head. You are a loser, Eddie.
In Venom, we get Riz Ahmed as Carlton Drake. He's kind of boring, so let's go to Catwoman. In Catwoman, we get Sharon Stone as Laurel Hader, and honestly, she's pretty boring as well. Can we get some new villains for these movies? I don't care about either of these characters. Can we get someone not shitty? Alright, fine. Carlton Drake is concerned about the Earth's overpopulation and thinks going to other planets is the solution. He gets aliens, which they call symbiotes instead of aliens.
He came for no aliens.
Yes. But we don't call them that. We call them symbiotes.
Maybe someone should tell the screenwriter that the terms are not mutually exclusive. The movie treats the term symbiote like it's a comic book term when in reality it has a scientific background to it. It's a creature that needs to live with another creature to survive. Spider-Man 3 understood this.
Don't let any of that get on you. Why not? It has the characteristics of a symbiote, which needs to bond to a host to survive.
So Venom is officially stupider than Spider-Man 3. Top job, guys. Anyways, to break it down, Carlton Drake is Thanos if Thanos was just a rich businessman. So Thanos if Thanos was fucking boring.
Congratulations, you're a prophet.
I'm sexy.
Hader, on the other hand, is a woman who gains super strong skin from overuse of a dangerous beauty cream. It's very similar to Matt Hagen's Clayface in the Batman animated series, except she continues to use it and only becomes enraged when she is replaced by someone younger as the main model for the company. See, Matt Hagen was a successful actor whose face was hideously disfigured. He was offered the cream so he could continue his career unimpeded, but then he became addicted to it and found that if he stops using it, he'll suffer horrible pain. In order to have a steady supply, he does crimes for the supplier. He tries to steal a large amount so he can get out from under his control, but is caught and attacked by thugs, at which point the thugs decide to mess with him and shove all the cream they could find down his throat. This turns him into Clayface. See how that origin starts fairly reasonably, and slowly becomes more twisted and messed up until he tragically becomes the villain? Laurel's origin is so similar, but she just takes the makeup because she likes it, and apparently likes the super hard skin too. So it's clearly based on Clayface, but drained of any real interesting character elements. I guess Drake wins because there is some logic to his plan at least, something more than I dislike the new girl. I forgot to mention her husband is also dating the new girl, which seems to be an automatic at this company, but she doesn't seem to like her husband at all, so I'm not sure how that plays into her origin at all. So yeah, point for Marvel for sucking less.
This is the higher life form. You stood by and watched while he died. The arrogance.
Catwoman has Benjamin Bratt as cop love interest.
Whatever it is you're thinking, whatever it is you're feeling, it's not worth it, you understand? Now look, I'm a cop.
Alex Bornstein as comedic relief best friend.
I gotta meet my hottie doctor. Tell me I look vulnerable.
Lambert Wilson as evil red herring.
How does she know all this? Who is she anyway?
And Francis Conroy as generic mentor.
You are a Catwoman. Every sight, every smell, every sound, incredibly heightened.
I'm certain all these characters have names within the movie. I simply do not care. They have no personalities outside of their role. Venom has Michelle Williams as Anne Wang and Jenny Slate as Scientist Lady. That is shockingly it. There's also Anne's boyfriend, who is significant for one brief scene, and we also have Miss Chen, who is mildly memorable, but useless in the grand scheme of the movie. Anne is the closest we get to a real character, but mostly used to progress the plot as needed. Her bit at the end where she helps Eddie fight Drake gives me bad flashbacks of Gwen Stacy forcing herself into the final battle in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Really? You want me to a car? What are you, a caveman?
Shouldn't be here.
You tie me up to go off to war? I know how to help you.
What are you doing?
I know the grid specs.
No! Told you I could fight ugly.
Again, Marvel gets the point because at least the characters don't feel so goddamn stock.
Thought you'd all gone home.
Oh, yes. Well, you know what they say. Science never sleeps.
Catwoman wants to be about empowering women, but it fails rather spectacularly. Take the last line of the whole movie.
You see, sometimes I'm good. Oh, I'm very good. But sometimes I'm bad. But only as bad as I want to be.
As an empowering statement, it's troubling. The idea of being only as bad as you want to be. Does that apply to all things? Well, if a woman has homicidal tendencies,
Not okay.
no one should be as bad as they want to be, but should be as good and moral as they can be. If she's talking about simply misbehaving, then that might be bad taste, but nothing massive. However, if she's talking about committing crimes, that's a whole other issue. And since she does commit crimes in this movie, that distinction is incredibly muddy. And how can a movie even claim to have a female empowerment theme when the main character decides to not only wear the ugliest superhero costume ever, but also have it be overly sexualized? Is the idea to teach women that the best way to get power is to use your body? Her exact drives are not known. She just jumps around half naked apparently just to be eye candy. She is way too nebulous. Frankly, as a female empowerment message, Catwoman is a complete and total failure. But the story failures don't end there. Catwoman has some terrible editing during any action scene, whether it be a fight or a completely bizarre out of nowhere basketball scene. Tom and Patience walk onto the court and the kids demand they play against each other.
One-on-one?
Who? Me and her?
Yeah, come on!
You want to do this?
When has this ever happened? More likely, the kids would tell him to get out of the way. Plus, this movie has some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard.
Game over. Guess what? It's overtime.
Something like that would not be out of place in the room.
What client?
I cannot tell you, it's confidential.
Oh, come on, why not?
No, I can't. Anyway, how is your sex life?
Venom is about being successful, then losing everything, then getting an alien symbiote and becoming a human-eating machine. I guess you could say Eddie has an arc when he hides when the thief first shows up at the shop and then confronts the thief at the end of the film as Venom. It's tough to judge whether this is a substantial change in character. Eddie has no real skills or ability to fight the thief at first. He's shown as being a brazen reporter, so it seems likely that if he had a way to fight the thief, he likely would. Maybe you could go for a movie having a don't judge a book by its cover theme, since he does look evil and does eat people, but he also saves the world. I guess Venom, because it's watchable, and trying for a strong theme and failing is much less forgivable than just not trying.
Traitor, have a nice life.
The action in Venom is pretty exclusively CGI gobbledygook. The final battle is borderline incoherent. Just aliens that can instantly heal throwing CGI at each other. It's awful. The final battle in Venom makes the final battle in Wonder Woman look like the train battle in Spider-Man 2. The best action is when the symbiote is pretty much just using A to get things done, and that exact same shtick was done much better in Upgrade.
Oh, God, dear!
Somehow, the action in Catwoman ends up being CGI gobbledygook as well. I guess it's cheaper than hiring stunt people. This ends up being a point for Marvel because you really need CGI with the symbiotes. Using CGI for Catwoman stunts is just lazy, and there's plenty of scenes where you can clearly tell they could have used a stunt person, but instead just CGI it because.
Outstanding. Now, let's bite all the heads off and pile them up in the corner.
Why would we do that?
Pile of bodies. Pile of heads.
In Catwoman, the lighting appears to be overbright, creating a glossiness over everything, giving an overexposed quality to the entire film. Every scene seems to have its own color, theme, or tone that literally does nothing. It's not there to inform the audience or manipulate the audience's emotions, so why do it? It's reminiscent of the unnecessary constant Dutch angles in Battlefield Earth, another movie with crazy color schemes. With that, it's already the ugliest movie I've covered in this At the Movies series, but I haven't talked about the complete overuse of CGI in this movie. There's CGI cities, and worst of all, a CGI Catwoman. They use CGI in shots where the CGI is completely unnecessary and baffling. Unless you're making an animated movie, CGI should be used as little as possible and incorporated with as much real elements as possible so that the CGI elements are less pronounced. This movie just shoves it in your face obnoxiously. Venom has a huge wig problem. I don't know what's up with Anne's hair, but it doesn't look right. And Woody Harrelson looks like a clown. The film also features some of the most sanitized decapitations ever. Venom eats a few people in this movie, and yet not a single drop of blood is seen from this. PG-13 and all other ratings are weird.
Eddie? What was that?
Oh, I have a parasite.
It also has a CGI problem, but it's far more forgivable since doing an absolutely no CGI Venom would be nearly impossible. Sam Raimi used more practical effects with his Venom, but even that was very reliant on CGI. So Marvel again gets this point.
Holy shit!
This is where things get interesting. First, let's cover the sound design quickly, because Venom has a rather unremarkable sound design, but I like the effects put on Tom Hardy's voice when he's Venom.
Jump. Pussy.
Of course, the use of action sound effects in the restaurant scene was wildly stupid. On the other side, Catwoman has some rather obnoxious sounds for Catwoman's fighting and kicks that are all generic and overused. So sound design wise, Venom is better for sure. Well, here's where it gets interesting. The Venom score by Ludwig Göransson is solid if a bit unremarkable.
Not for us.
But the Catwoman score by Klaus Badelt is actually really awesome and interesting. That is, at the beginning. The score slowly but surely goes off the rails, and I give up on the thing on a track named Venom of all things. It feels like Badelt had some good ideas with this score and wanted to do something cool, but as he actually saw the movie he was presented with, quickly lost all inspiration and started to see what he could get away with. This feels like it could have easily gone to DC if Badelt had continued with the quality of the movie's early score throughout. As it is, point for Marvel.
What the hell? Dude, how did you do that?
Apparently I have a parasite.
Well, it's a slam dunk for Marvel again, but not because Venom is good, but because Catwoman is that much worse. Imagine seeing two piles of cat shit on the floor. One is all dried up, while the other is diarrhea. That's these two movies. One is fairly easy to deal with, while the other is a chore. But let's make one thing absolutely clear. At the end of the day, they are both pieces of shit.
Oh man, this chain is dope. How much you want for it? Like $200?
Sure.
Be right back. I gotta find an ATM quick.
If you break it down past even the script level to the conception level, Catwoman has a lot more going for it. Venom is a character largely interesting because of how he relates to Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and this movie would not be allowed to use those elements. While Catwoman is known as a Batman villain and an on-again, off-again love interest, her origin can be told without any connection to Batman easily. Plus, Warner Brothers has no rights issues. If they want to drop a Batman Easter egg here or there, they can. At the script level, neither is very great, but where you can see a real difference is the direction. Ruben Fleischer is a skilled director, while Pitof, seriously, he just goes by Pitof for some reason, seems to think just doing crazy stuff results in a good movie. He doesn't seem to understand that the crazy stuff only works if it in some way informs the audience about the story or the characters. Also, unless you're really fucking good at directing, you should avoid doing crazy stuff, period. Catwoman has some better ideas behind it, but its execution went as far off the rails as anyone could imagine. Venom was a fairly terrible idea straight to script level, but executed as well as anyone could hope. The moral ends up being, it's better to aim low and shoot high than shoot low and aim high. Venom is actually a movie that I hate to admit that I wanted to hate a hell of a lot more than I did. The whole movie is essentially a giant fuck you to Marvel. They are rushing out Spider-Man Far From Home, and when that movie comes out, that'll be the end of the Sony-Marvel alliance. It will have to be renegotiated, meaning either Marvel will have to fold Venom into the MCU so that Sony can make money putting Spider-Man and Venom in the same movie, or break the alliance, meaning Sony can again do whatever they want with Spider-Man, including put him in a Venom movie. movie. It's a lose-lose for Marvel. Venom made more money than Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Sony has shown a complete willingness to run him into the ground. Sure, Into the Spider-Verse was good, but we've seen enough to clearly say that that movie is the exception, not the rule. With Jared Leto's Morbius on the way, and a Venom vs. Carnage movie, Venom represents an unearned victory for Sony, and they will waste the opportunity it grants him so quickly it will make your head spin. And at the end of the day, I simply hope Sony can prove me wrong.
First of all, I want to thank Warner Brothers. Thank you for putting me in a piece of shit, god-awful movie.
Hey, if you like this video, please make sure to hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe. That helps me out a lot. And if you really love this video, consider visiting my Patreon page.